Hi, I'm Kristen Oaks-White.
And I'm Avery Davidson. Thank you for joining us for This Week in Louisiana Agriculture, the only TV show bringing Louisiana farmers and consumers together every week.
The U.S. Army Corps of Engineers is in the process of closing the Bonnie Carey Spillway near New Orleans. This comes after the Corps opened the spillway for an unprecedented second time in a year.
It's a powerful reminder of how much water we've had to deal with in Louisiana. While the river is receding, the impacts on our state remain. As Twila's Neil Melanson shows us, the shrimping industry has not fared well with all of this fresh water coming downriver.
The Bonnie Carey Spillway is finally being closed along the Mississippi River, which has been at or above flood stage for the longest period in recorded history this year. While the spillway prevented New Orleans from being flooded, it wreaked havoc on the state's fisheries. Further west, those same waters coming down the Atchafalaya River severely impacted the state's shrimp industry. Thomas Olander is getting his boat ready for the start of the shrimping season, but sees little prospects right now.
It's causing such a major dead zone in our inland waters and our offshore waters. So that's the biggest effect that it's having on us right now, creating this dead zone.
Hurricane Barry came ashore right here in Sycamore Point, where Olander normally delivers shrimp. You can see from the water levels this was a much bigger deal here than further inland. Barry blew the roof of this shed off, across a road, and into the canal where Olander normally refuels. It's still there, now less than a week before shrimping season begins.
I'm not able to get back to my dock. Here's our seafood dock right here. My sister owns the seafood dock, and this is where we get our ice, and this is where we do our unloading, our product.
Adding to these woes is the low prices shrimp has received throughout the last decade plus. Olander says he's getting less for his shrimp now than he did in the 1980s. These docks that used to be filled with shrimp boats are now mostly empty of the shrimpers that used to be here. Olander said if he could, he'd join them.
To be honest, if I could get out of it, I'd leave it today. If I could get out of it. It's taking too much of a toll on us physically, mentally. The toll is just getting out of hand on us. The stress level is just getting out of hand. I wish I could get out of it today, but because of the industry being so bad, vessels like what I have right behind me right here, is the value of it is it's not even worth even getting rid of. You probably couldn't hardly give that away right now.
For now, he and his wife Lola work the boat named after their son, who they hoped would take over this fourth-generation family business. Tommy got out, though, after only 3 years in shrimping, as it was just too expensive to maintain. It's something Thomas Olander sees happening across his industry. A new bill introduced by senators from Louisiana and Mississippi is supposed to help coastal fisheries, but Olander fears it's too little, too late.
Man, that would be a blessing out of this world if they could start helping us to just at least keep us in the business until, because things could change quickly on shrimping. In 2-3 weeks, things could drastically change in the shrimping business. It could go from mountaintop to the lowest valley you ever want to walk in.
The shrimping season in Louisiana is tentatively scheduled to begin August 5th. The season will open with a new shrimp labeling law, which requires restaurants to say whether or not they're using Louisiana-caught shrimp. The legislature passed the bill after it was shown we were getting inundated by Chinese-caught shrimp, often containing antibiotics to keep them bacteria-free after the weeks it takes to get them from the Pacific to the U.S. Olander told us at most they stay out 2 to 3 days in Louisiana, and they never use antibiotics on their shrimp. In addition, he says you can taste the difference between the locally caught shrimp and not. And guys, you know, I know we've gone through a lot of struggles across farming, and in many of the grain states and producing areas and farmers even in Louisiana, you know, some of those farmers may not be around next year. What we're talking about with Louisiana shrimping industry is whether the industry stays or not. In the 1980s, he told me there were all kinds of not only shrimp boats, you saw the empty docks in the video, they also had the ice houses and the collection points and everything that they needed to support that industry. They're down to one ice house and one market along those docks there in Sycamore Point.
Wow.
And he estimates that right now we're looking at about 6% of shrimp in Louisiana being from Louisiana, the shrimp that you're eating at restaurants.
Wow. And that, where you were, Sycamore Point, that's my old stomping grounds. Sandy and Richard Longyon there used to run the supply house. Now they're over at the Bayview. And to see the changes that have happened there at Sycamore Point and what's going on now, the struggles they have, even being able to get out with their boats. I mean, it's unbelievable the impact not only the freshwater is having, the markets are having, but also what the storms are doing.
Right.
Are they still struggling from what they had to go through with the oil spill?
Yes, he said that the oil is still out there. He says that, in his opinion, there are still oil spills going on out there that are just not closed down. They can see it. They're dealing with debris in the water. They're dealing with all kinds of things. For instance, he estimates that 90 to 95% of the shrimpers out there, their boats aren't insured.
Wow.
Each one of those is $250,000. I mean, if one of them gets hit, that's the end of their shrimping career right there. You know, I mean, they certainly can't afford to get a new one. And I mean, when he was talking about reselling his boat, he would get less than half of that, you know, for trying to sell it. So they're up against a wall. And you know, on the one hand, I really think that it would take multiple things to get it back going, and that's really difficult. But on the other hand, I mean, isn't this part of our Louisiana tapestry? Isn't this part of our culture? Do we want to save this or not? And so we've got to make some decisions here on the state and federal level as to whether or not we want that locally grown stuff, or we want to trust China to bring in our shrimp for us.
Well, at least the legislature has taken one good step with that labeling law. Thank you very much, Neil Melasaw.
Well, water still stands in farm fields in Avoyelles Parish more than 2 weeks after Hurricane Barry made landfall in Louisiana.
One farmer there estimates Barry destroyed between 5,000 and 6,000 acres of soybeans, corn, and rice in Avoyelles Parish, mostly soybeans. Now he's hoping something can be done in the future to stop this from happening again. This is not a lake. It's not a pond. It's not a bayou. This is Patrick Desautel's soybean field outside Simmsport in Avoyelles Parish. The standing water you see is from Hurricane Barry, which made landfall on July 13th. Bands of rain going from Evangeline Parish all the way up to Avoyelles Parish dumped upwards of 20 inches of rain in spots, according to farmers who monitor rainfall closely. It's easy to see where floodwaters collected, especially where the soybeans are dead.
This area was probably one of the worst impacted.
Keith Lacombe is a soybean and sugarcane farmer who lost about 400 acres of soybeans to Barry. He's also a commissioner for the Red River, Atchafalaya, and Bayou Beth levee district, so he knows the hydrology of this land.
This area, pretty much everything goes south to what they call Bayou Catawba on Highway 190, right below 190. And also everything here north, right out of the West Atchafalaya floodway, ends up there too. So it's a total of about 916,000 acres goes into one area towards the Henderson Swamp.
The fields you see here are adjacent to the Atchafalaya River, a river controlled by levees. That means that if it were not for the levees, these fields would drain into the Atchafalaya.
I mean, we have it right on our side. It's our neighbor, and we can't use it.
That's why Lacombe would like to see a pumping station added in Avoyelles Parish to give the rain that falls here another outlet, other than one bayou so far south.
I know we can't do anything with 14, 15 inches of rain, but at least we can get better prepared for 10 inches or so.
Avoyelles Parish was not the only place hit by Barry. Evangeline Parish rice, crawfish, and soybean farmer Richard Fontenot says Barry left similar scenes near his home.
We had extenuating rains early on. We had some replant situations come in on the soybeans. We got those done. Hurricane Barry came in. We got over 20 inches of rain. Needless to say, that replant environment deteriorated quickly. But I do have some neighbors that had water go above rice heads floating. Unsure on the amount of damage, but we're going to definitely have some extenuating circumstances coming out through harvest. Lacombe knows it would be years before the Army Corps of Engineers would approve any kind of drainage project into the Atchafalaya River. However, he says it's important to start the conversation now. And Kristen, he has been speaking with some folks over in St. Landry Parish. Seems to be that other parishes are getting on board, so that is good information there.
Well, hopefully they can figure something out for across the state.
Yeah, to get all that water flowing. This summer, we've been working on a new way to connect Louisiana farmers and consumers, and that's by using podcasts.
If you would like to hear more about the stories that Avery and Neil went to shoot this week following Hurricane Barry, the Twila After Show podcast is where you'll find that. That's where Neil, Carl, Avery, and I discuss the stories behind the stories, which we feature right here on Twila.
Believe it or not, there are times when our personalities come out, and we may bring up our latest obsession with, say, grilling on a Traeger, Kristen, Carl, or I may take the conversation to the world of K-pop because our graphic designer happens to be hanging around. You never know, and that's what makes this such a fun project. We're not confined by scripts. Also, we are now in the second year of producing the Voice of Louisiana Agriculture podcast. Carrie Martin from the Voice of Louisiana Agriculture Radio Network brings you ag news headlines from across the State, a grassroots government segment, global trade and commodity market updates, and a conversation with a farmer who's outstanding in his field.
Louisiana Farm Life is another podcast we've been rolling out over the past couple of months. We have 5 episodes live now, with more scheduled to release soon. It is similar to the stories we feature here on Twila, profiling farmers from across the state. Louisiana Farm Life is a conversation with a farmer where we really try to get to know the men and women who put food on our tables and clothes on our backs.
Yeah, and on those Louisiana Farm Life podcasts, if you hear glasses clinking, it's iced tea or water. I promise, that's all it is. But we're really excited to have these podcasts out to show you another way to tell the story of the Louisiana farmer and rancher. You can find each of these on Apple Podcasts, Google Play, and Spotify. You can also head over to our website, twilatv.org, and listen right now.
Each year in late July, the Morehouse Parish Black Farmers and Landowners Association hosts a field day. And despite the heat, there's always a really great turnout.
As Twila's Tammy Arender shows us, this year people came from all over the Southeast to learn everything from growing industrial hemp to aeroponics, a unique way of growing fruits and veggies above ground.
The Morehouse Parish Black Farmers and Landowners Field Day starts at Otis Hills Cornfield. They load up on hay bale covered trailers and head straight to the fields.
We're very, very appreciative of the farmers that do plant these trials.
LSU Ag Center's corn and cotton specialist Dan Fromme gives an update on how new varieties are being tested. For Hill, this annual event is about networking and sharing valuable information.
Because we can't sit at the table at the coffee shop and talk every day, so we feel like we need to come together, and any information that each one of us had, we need to share it among each other.
There's also a presentation on a crop that's not even grown in Louisiana yet. Art Walker is president of the Louisiana Hemp Alliance.
Rep ourselves up to get into this business. More and more machinery kinds of folk are developing specific equipment for hemp, because hemp is kind of unique.
Your plant, which is in here, right on the roots.
The field day also featured a demonstration on aeroponics, a unique above-ground growing system similar to aquaponics. It's an air or mist environment without the use of soil. Knowledge on different topics, as well as partnerships between the LSU and Southern University Ag Centers and the National Black Growers Council, make this event a literal field day for growers in Northeast Louisiana.
They get the information from research and development directly into the hands of the farmers, where they can look at new technology, new techniques. It's all about being better able to produce a crop more efficiently.
In Bonita, I'm Tammy Arender for This Week in Louisiana Agriculture.
The group also recognized Richard Letlow for his years of service to Morehouse Parish farmers as an LSU Ag Center Extension agent. He'll be retiring at the end of the year after 38 years with the Ag Center.
After the break, we'll head out to a farm you may be familiar with to get some really, really fresh eggs from the coop.
A brand new Field to Feast is up next. Stay with us.
I now hope they're fighting today.
I hope they are. Put a Dorito on here.
I got a fish! I got a fish!
Find your place in the country and the lender who can get you there. Find Louisiana Land Bank. Financing for country homes, recreational property, farms and ranches, and agribusiness.
I'm a farmer.
I am a farm wife.
I am a cowboy.
I am a grass farmer.
I'm a businesswoman.
I'm a conservationist.
I am an advocate.
I am a voice for Louisiana farmers.
I'm always learning.
I'm a husband.
I'm a mom.
I am a dad.
I'm a granddad.
I am a consumer.
I grow the food that feeds your family, and I'm proud of it. I am Farm Bureau.
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 We are Farm Bureau.
Landowners are minding the Louisiana forest for our grandchildren. A place for wildlife. recreation, lumber for homes. It's the right thing to do. Forestry, covering half our state, all of our hearts.
Welcome to Field to Feast, where we profile Louisiana's local ingredients. This morning we're at Local Cooling Farms in Bogalusa, Louisiana, with Kate and Grant Estrad. They have eggs, goats, pork, and beef. Tori and I are going to take the tour and then enjoy some of the local fare.
Field to Feast with Jennifer Finley is brought to you by the Louisiana Crawfish Promotion and Research Board. Louisiana Crawfish, ask before you eat. By the Louisiana Beef Industry Council, beef, it's what's for dinner. And by the Louisiana Rice Promotion Board, think rice.
So we're at Local Cooling Farms, and Grant is going to talk to us about what they have going on with their beef. So what are we going to do today?
Well, we've got a summer seed mix that we're putting out today. We've got sunflower, clay peas, sorghum, Sudan grass, and grain sorghum.
We're actually going to go spread the seed, and then you're going to use the cattle to
That's
tape
right.
it down?
Yep. So I guess technically you'd call this cover crop pasture overseeding, where we have thrown it out. And then, using the cattle is just a fun way to do it. And then it's very labor-free for us. The animals do all the work.
What does that do for the topsoil versus like getting in there and then tilling the whole thing up and kind of going for it?
So their hoof action is going to cause mild disturbance. It's not going to cause like over disturbance. So we're not going to get in there and like till it, because if we do that, we're going to mess up all the earthworms and a lot of the biology in there. And then also the root systems of the existing plants, we don't want to mess with them. We want them to kind of stay, because all this stuff is going to grow amongst all the other stuff. So we want to do real mild disturbance, and that hoof action is like perfect for this. Yeah,
and how long does it typically take?
Well, we're only gonna have the cattle in this area for one day.
Okay.
So it's gonna be a one-day deal. We're gonna pull them out. This stuff is gonna start germinating, especially with all this rain that we're having, like in a couple of days. And then we're gonna see real growth in here in about 10 days.
Awesome.
Trying to feed the soil, trying to feed the animals in one shot.
Broad overview, what does Local Cooling Farm do?
Well, we're livestock specific farm. We're not doing produce or anything. So our specialty is going to be some beef cattle. And then when I say beef cattle, we're focusing on heritage Piney Woods cattle that are really good for the Gulf Coast area. Eggs, pork, goat meat. Did I miss anything? Yep. So that's it. Yep.
Sounds delicious.
Yeah,
Sounds like enough
sounds
to live
fantastic. That's right.
And not just raising it for meat, but restoring the ecosystem, building the soil.
Yeah, so we're using the latest and greatest rotational, grazing methodologies. So we're, our bottom line is to make money like any other business, but we've got other multiple bottom lines, and one is increasing biodiversity and increasing soil health in our area. And Local Cooling Farms, local cooling is a play on global warming. It's the opposite of global warming, because when you do this type of agriculture, you actually sequester carbon into the soil out of the atmosphere. So it is a carbon absorbing effect that happens naturally.
And you get to play with baby goats.
Yeah, and baby pigs,
which is very fun.
When we can, we try to have them follow the goats or the cattle. Now the coops will move, close this off, and we'll set up a new spot. So it's just kind of leapfrogging each time.
So there's a bunch of different color chickens here. Like how many different species do you have?
So the white with the black is Delawares. The tan are Novagens. They're a French developed pasture breed. Dark red are Rhode Island Reds. The black and orange, those are Easter eggers. They lay those blue eggs. And then the striped are Dominiques. Got some Brahmas. The black ones are Minorcas, like a Spanish breed. So yeah, so probably if I were to count 9 or 10.
Most important question, which ones taste the best?
I think they taste I think diet trumps breed on anything. So you'll have, sometimes I'll crack an egg and it's like maybe not as deep orange as we like to see. And I'm like, who is that bird? Who is slacking? Who's sitting around?
People.
Like y'all are like sitting around the feeder and not eating as much grass. Like you know, no. So it's diet. It's there are people.
What you're looking for? The bright orange?
Dark orange, like that's beta carotene and vitamin A essentially.
And who's buying all the eggs?
So we do sell to a few restaurants now. Yeah, we need to work on that. But mostly retail. We sell our eggs at our shop and then through our delivery hubs.
Yep.
So, you know, sometimes like 40 dozen a day to
40 dozen a day
to like individual. I mean, they're laying probably right now. They're probably laying like 40 dozen a day.
40 dozen.
So if we can keep up with the.
And these are all those pretty multicolor.
Yeah, we'll grab some. Yeah, we'll grab some. Yeah, so here's a few from this morning.
I'll tell you what, this is fantastic. Like literally on the farm, eggs are still warm. I can't even imagine like cracking this into warm bacon grease with a little bit of sea salt and fresh lemon on top.
Can you taste the difference?
Absolutely.
This is like straight out of the chicken.
Oh, right? Like literally. And they're hot almost, you know?
Yes.
Oh my goodness. Like
because it was under her. Like if it had just been laid, it would have been like kind of a wet a little bit. When they're clean like this, you don't really need to wash them because the chicken lays this microbial layer to keep, it's like a protective shell. So as soon as you wipe that off with water, then bacteria can permeate easier. So that's why like in Europe and Asia, they don't refrigerate their eggs because they don't wash them.
This is beautiful. This is so cool.
I'm telling you what, literally right from the farm, and very soon we'll be to the table.
Farm to table. Fresh, local Louisiana eggs.
Oh yeah, actually, we're gonna have tacos for lunch, and I was thinking of just doing a little aioli with the immersion blender quick, because like the beef needs, it was like a round roast, and it's like not quite fatty enough. I feel like I'm like, so what like fatty unctuousness do we have? Like, probably.
You're gonna do that at the restaurant, aren't you?
totally ripping that off.
Yellow mayo.
You heard it here first.
Today we're gonna watch them cook. They're gonna cook for us today. That's a nice twist.
It's a good thing I brought the wine.
All right, let's head in and get some food.
Louisiana oysters, salty, sweet, and delicious. But have you ever thought about what happens to all those oyster shells? Most of them end up in trash cans and landfills. The Coalition to Restore Coastal Louisiana is changing this with its oyster shell recycling program, and you can help by visiting these participating restaurants. It's a simple and delicious way to restore our coast. The shells will then be used to sustain and rebuild oyster reefs. Remember, once you shuck them, don't just chuck them.
Before you sweeten your morning joe, before the icing on the cake, before the sugar hits the shelf, it begins with a family of sugarcane farmers dedicated to growing Louisiana for more than 220 years. The Sugarcane Growers of Louisiana, making life sweeter, naturally.
Sugarcane, sweet sugarcane.
That's low. That's low. Look, he's blushing. Seriously. Okay.
Don't wait. Communicate. Make your emergency plan today.
Today we're reversing the roles, and Kate and Grant are actually going to cook for Chef Tori. What's your favorite thing that you found out today or learned about today, or there just so many?
I just think this whole thing is absolutely fascinating, right? To get to run around with the ducks and the chickens, see the cows, and now there's herd of goats over here, fresh pigs, and have this amazing opportunity to visit the farm and see like the differences between an amazing like organic fresh egg, like a hen's egg, versus a duck egg side by side. It's like we need that for our food to make our great Louisiana food just taste that much better. So amazing.
Does it make a difference when
gosh.
you use these fresh, local Louisiana ingredients?
Absolutely. The flavor is better. It's an amazing story, right?
Right.
And all the guests that jump in the dining room, they're like, man, tell me about this dish. It is so unusual. And I haven't seen something like this since my grandma's, breakfast table, right? Where they're cracking fresh eggs into it. Man, it's just the whole thing kind of comes right back around. And to teach a kid from the neighborhood, look, here's the difference. Here's like something you get from a commercial producer, but this comes right off of the cooling farm. I mean, you see like the brain start to explode. And for me, that's better than paycheck.
Tori, you ready to go eat?
Absolutely. These guys have roasted a hog and they braised a bunch of beef, and it smells like we're about to have tacos.
I'm hungry. Well, this looks delicious. And I want to thank y'all so much for having us today. I mean, this has been quite a treat for me, quite a treat for Tori.
Yeah, absolutely right. Yeah, your hospitality is just amazing. Thank you so much for inviting us out to the farm. I've had a wonderful time.
Yeah, thanks for coming.
Yeah.
I wish everybody could be here to enjoy this with us, but we will see you next time on Field to Feast. Awesome, let's check in.
Yay, let's eat before we get rained on.
Unbelievable.
Field to Feast with Jennifer Finley was brought to you by the Louisiana Crawfish Promotion and Research Board, Louisiana Crawfish, ask before you eat, by the Louisiana Beef Industry Council, beef, it's what's for dinner, and by the Louisiana Rice Promotion Board, think rice.
This week we have another uplifting Twila boost. In 2017, after Hurricane Harvey devastated much of the Houston area, Rocking M Ranch decided to offer a home to many of the farm animals displaced by the storm.
And the farm took in this little guy named Roland the pig shortly after Harvey. When he was just a year old, Roland came down with a severe case of dippity pig syndrome that left him crippled in both of his back legs. The vet said that most owners put their pig down when they become immobile, since it's a neurological disorder that is close to impossible to overcome. But they chose to find creative ways to work through it and keep his muscles strong until he could relearn to walk again. And after many hours of training and work, Roland learned to walk again.
It didn't take long before Rolando began to put more and more weight on his back legs.
Don't you quit on me, Roland. Don't you quit, Roland. Look at these flags.
All of the other animals would oftentimes come out and watch and encourage him as he would make his way.
Be sure to join us next week. Carl will take us to a rice field in Acadia Parish to get an update on the crop, and we will soon be mixing into our gumbo. Maybe after harvest when cooler temperatures arrive.
And we need those cooler temperatures first. Until then, you can watch all of our stories online at twilatv.org. Be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel, like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter and Instagram.
For all of us here at Twila, thanks for joining us. We hope to see you again right here next week.